Hi guys, and welcome back to Arlene Knits and Sews. So for our next lesson, we're going to learn how to knit with two balls of wool simultaneously. The objective of this tutorial is to teach you how to make something that is an extra thick knit. So for this you can have very warm jerseys, very thick blankets, essentially something that's going to be double thick and very warm. So if that's something you're interested in, you're going to learn how to make mittens. This is a very simple, very easy pattern. It's definitely for beginners. All we're going to do is knit a square or a rectangle, and we're going to do it in multiple balls of wool, two simultaneously, and we're going to crochet the end together here. Okay, so to get going, I've grabbed myself a pair of 6.5 needles. This size differs from country to country, so I've just grabbed a size gauge ruler here so you can see what I mean. And a 6.5 is actually very thick. You can see over there. So it's on the top end of the thicker scale. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to cast on 20 stitches. So sorry, I just said 20 stitches. I actually meant 25 stitches. So we're going to cast on 25 stitches. So to cast on with two balls of wool simultaneously, all you're going to do is you're going to grab both ends and you're going to line them up perfectly. Like that. And you're going to make a slip knot, treating both ends as if they are one piece of wool the whole time. So let's make a slip knot together. So we go around, making a little shape like that. Take the short end, put it through the hole, and pull it through. Like that. I'll do that again. Okay, so sort of twist it over each other like that. Feed a piece through and pull both ends like so. And then you're going to pull on, it can either be the long or the short end. This isn't fixed, but one of them is going to make this hole smaller, and in my example here it's the long end. We're going to slip that on our needle and pull it so that it fits the needle snuggy. If you need to rewatch that, you can go into your settings and slow it down completely to like a 0.5 speed, even slower if you need to, and figure out how to do this slip knot. Now I'm going to cast on 25 stitches. We do it the same way that we cast on a normal knitting. It's just that we're using the two lines and we're treating them like they're one line. So I'm going to wrap it around, pull the needle over, pull the stitch out, and pop it back on the first needle. Going into both of those stitches simultaneously as if they're one. Wrap the wool around, pull it over, pull that stitch out, put it back on the needle. Pull this one here to adjust it. Go in, behind, wrap the wool around, pull it over, pull that stitch out, and pop it back on the needle. Pull on the line here to adjust. I'm going to do that until I have 25 of these double stitches.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it will cave in and swallow me whole. Wondering why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was told. Why am I
Okay, I now have 25 stitches, and we're going to now knit this. We're going to knit it as if it were regular one stitch, but I'm going to show you how we do that. The first thing I do want to mention is that when you're knitting 2 stitches simultaneously, it is very easy to drop one of them accidentally. So unfortunately, you will need to pay attention to what you're doing. You'll need to watch your stitches very carefully. The next thing I would like to suggest is that you go look on the app playlists or the curators, whatever, and find yourself a row counter app. And if you are like me and you just knit and you forget to add on a new row on your row counter app, I'm going to show you how we can still figure out exactly how many rows we've knitted. Okay, so the first thing I did was just pull this first stitch out slightly so it's a little bit easier for me to get my needle in there. And you're going to slip your needle in behind both of those stitches, treating them as if they are one stitch, like so. Take your wool, wrap it around the needle. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a focus issue here. Wrap it around the needle and please focus. Okay, wrap it around the needle, pull the wool over, the needle over, and slip the needle out just like a regular stitch. We'll do that again. Behind, around, over, and out. Behind, around, over, and out. One last time. Behind, around, over, and out. And now you're going to keep doing this until your piece is approximately 17 centimeters long. So how I work that out is I count these bumpy bits. What I mean is these bits here. So I count those, and that would be 19 bumps. One bump, coincidentally, is 2 lines. So that would then be 38 lines. So you're going to knit for either 38 lines, 19 bumps, little bumps, or 17 centimeters long, when this thing is 17 centimeters.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it will cave in and swallow me whole. Wondering why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was told. Why am I like this?
Okay, I'm nearly done. I only have about 10 lines left to knit, or 5 bumps, these little things. Something I want to bring up now is you're going to see this beautiful pattern that it's making. This is one of the benefits of knitting with multiple balls of wool at the same time. And the next thing I wanted to bring up is that the measurements I gave you, it is for my own hand/wrist. So what you want to do is knit until this thing fits comfortably around your own wrist. So it's going to go all the way around like that. A handy way to do that would be to just measure your wrist. I've got the measuring tape here. Just measure your wrist like that, and then you'll know exactly how long you actually want it to be. So mine, I wanted it to be 17 centimeters, but my wrists are actually around 15. But you can make it exactly the thickness of your own wrist, not the hand, but the wrist, because it will stretch out. Okay, so it's now exactly the right length, and I'm going to go ahead and cast this off.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it will cave in and swallow me whole. Wonder why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was sold. Why am I like this? Something's always amiss. Can't put my finger on it.
Once you've cast off all the way down to the last stitch, you're going to hang on to that stitch, and then you're going to grab your crochet hook. We're also going to grab 2 pegs, and we're going to measure out exactly where we want that thumb hole to be. Pull out that last stitch so you don't lose it. You can pull it out quite a lot, and take your needle out. Using the pegs, you're going to position exactly where you want that thumb to be. Put the pegs on the inside of that thumb hole, so here, this side, so that you are able now to crochet all the way up uninterrupted, and then the peg is going to cover this part. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to crochet those 2 ends together. You can come back and you can grab your stitch that you've pulled out, place it on your crochet hook, and pull it back so that it fits properly. We're then going to go into the first stitch on the opposite side over here. And we're going to pull the wool through both stitches so that we have 1 stitch on our crochet hook. You're going to do that again with the next stitch, which is this one over here, and this one over here. Pull the wool through both stitches, and the last one so that you have 1 stitch left on your crochet hook. Do that again, through both, through the last one on the crochet hook, so you only ever have 1. By the way, this is really a great way to practice crocheting things together, because this is going to be a very valuable tool in all of your future knitting projects. We're going to go ahead and do that all the way until we reach this peg.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it will cave in and swallow me whole. Wonder why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was sold. Why am I like this? Something's always amiss. Can't put my.
Once we arrive at the peg, we can take it off, and we can just go ahead and crochet those last 2 stitches where it was. And now we're going to cut this cuts about 10 centimeters, like so. Then you can pull that whole loop out. Then we're going to turn around, and we're going to go into this side here. I'll show you how. So you can take your crochet hook and go into the very first stitch, which is actually 2 stitches, but you know what I mean. And to the second one over here. Oh. And then take your wool and feed it through, creating a little stitchy over here. Oopsie, let me try that again. Creating a stitch like that. You'll now have an extra piece over here. You just put them to the side and you carry on with the long one. We're going to go into the second one, and the second one behind here. Pull the wool through both stitches, through the one on the crochet hook, creating one on the crochet hook. And we're going to do that all the way until we reach the peg. A little bit fiddly over here. Once we arrive at the peg, we can just take it off and crochet those 2 loops together as well. Then we're going to cut that strand, pull it out, and now we're going to work all of these loose ends into the mitten. But first, we're going to tie these 2 ends at the top here. We're going to tie them together. Always tie it about 3 times just to make sure it's very secure. Trim it shorter, you don't need all of that. You can trim these ones shorter as well. About so. And we're going to work these ends into the mitten. I do have a video out on this, so I'm not going to do too much time or spend too much time going in how to do this, but you just find a nearby stitch and you take those threads and you pull it into it. Oh, left one behind. And you work it through all the way until it's all gone. Remembering, oops, sorry, it's a bit difficult with 2. Remembering to stretch it out the whole way through. Like so. And we're going to do that with all 3 of these. Sorry, I didn't mention this, but it is important. So what I did with the thumb ends is I went through to the opposite side in like this, and I separated these 2 and then tied them together. So just make sure that the wool doesn't unravel in the wash. Just secures these ends. And then once you've tied them together properly, you can just work them into nearby stitches. And when you've worked them into, or all of them into the nearby stitches, you take the mitten and you turn it inside out so that the more attractive side is facing you. And you now have yourself a pair of very easy beginner homemade mittens that you can wear out on cold windy walks with the dogs or with your friends, or just, yeah, some nice mittens. So congratulations. As always, please let me know if there's any part that I rushed through too quickly. I am very happy to slow down and focus on anything. If you have any questions, I can make a video very specifically tailored to your questions. Otherwise, see me back here on my channel. In the next tutorial, we're going to learn how to knit on the diagonal. So that will be increasing stitches and decreasing stitches and knitting in a diamond shape so that the stitches, these things, literally are going like that on the piece, and it looks really cool. And we're going to learn to make some blankets.